The Team Lally show was previously recorded.
It's time to enter the world of real estate in Oahu with Hawaii's only true real estate radio show, the Team Lally Real Estate Show. Grab a pen and get ready to take notes. For the next full hour, Hawaii's premier real estate leader, Adrienne Lally, and Attilio Leonardi will bring you the latest in real estate news and real-world strategies on how they can guarantee to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or they'll buy it. Now, here are your hosts, Adrienne and Attilio.
Welcome to the Team Lally Real Estate Show, home of the Guaranteed Sold program, or we'll buy it. If you have any questions, just give us a call at 799-9596 or check us out online at teamlally.com.
Hey, everybody, this is Attilio, and this is the art part of the show. What does that mean, art?
That is Attilio's Random Thoughts.
So what I want to do is share with you guys in today's show is a cautionary tale, and that cautionary tale is regarding coaching. Coaching. Now, there's one thing to have your kids be coached in AYSO for soccer, any kind of sports, youth sports, things like that. You know, I coached all three of my kids in AYSO soccer, and do you know why I coached my kids in AYSO soccer?
Because you wanted to spend time with them?
I wanted to spend time with them. I didn't want them to get a coach that was one of those old yellas. Just yelling and screaming at them, and I'm not that type of coach. And I wanted it to be a positive and uplifting experience for them. So I even coached my niece, my niece's team for a little bit because the dad was deployed.
And did you know that I was a coach? Not of soccer, though.
Yeah, but gymnastics, right?
A gymnastics coach.
Were you a yelling and screaming coach?
No.
You hesitated on your answer.
No, because you know what I had them do? I had them do a lot of like squat jumps and push-ups and stuff when they were interrupting me.
You didn't have to. There was no time. You didn't need to yell. They were tired.
They were too tired.
They were too tired to backtalk to you. But so the coaching that I want to talk about is not that type of coach. The coaching that I want to talk about in Hawaii. So I've learned this from my nephew Ben. He's a licensed therapist here in Hawaii, and that what happens in that realm of like, you know, nowadays therapy is more acceptable to people. Back in the day, you'd be like, oh, you crazy? Why are you going to therapy? Or seeing a therapist. But in Hawaii, people can just say, hey, I'm a life coach. Have not gone to any kind of training or certification. And all of a sudden you're sitting in a room with them bearing your soul and expecting, some kind of facilitated therapeutic experience.
Having some kind of results.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what coaches give us is results.
And then I see people like saying that I'm a life coach, I'm a relationship coach, just whatever it is, you just put that word in the front with coach on the end. And here's where I would caution you. How many times, like, for Adrian and myself, would you say that we qualify as a coach of realtors to teach them how to get to the highest level in real estate?
I would say so.
Yeah, because why?
Because we've done it.
And how many times I'm coming across coaches and it's like they haven't done it, and then all of a sudden they post on social media, I'm a coach. I'm like, what's your track record in that? Speaking of someone, so be cautious and careful and say, you know, okay, you're coaching this at a high level. Tell me about in your personal life how you achieved that. Oh, not really. I just wanted to put my shingle out.
Or I slept at a Holiday Inn.
Yeah. But speaking of someone that can coach you at a high level, how to maintain the value and stay out of problems with your tenants, with your investment property, who's that coach?
That would be Duke Kimhan of Hawaii Pacific Property Management.
Coach Duke, are you there?
I am coaching it up.
Yeah. What kind of coaching?
I'm coaching up on property management.
Yes. What you got for us? Yeah.
So, you know, pest control, that's a really touchy business, and it bugs a lot of people in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So,
no pun intended.
Pest control, pest control for the tenant is tough because when they move in, they don't see the bugs until they put their food in the cabinets or they start opening up cabinets, and then the termite eggs start rattling around in there, and then you got termites or you got roaches, and then they call us and they say, hey, I got roaches. We tell them, I'm sorry, Mr. Tenant or Miss Tenant.
Yeah.
But, when we did the inspection, there were no roaches in there. And now that you're in there and you have food all in there and everything. So here's our cutoff. If it's 30 days in, then the owner pays for it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's after 30 days, then the tenant pays for pest control.
Gotcha.
But, it's so tough because roaches in Hawaii are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And we have most homes have a rodent problem if you have fruit trees in the back or stuff.
Yeah.
If you live by
Banana
a stream
trees.
or you live all that, there's rodents around. So, a lot of times they come in the house. And if you have trees touching the house, I tell the owners, the rats can run up the tree, get on the roof, and bite through the screen, and then they'll be in the attic.
Yep.
And once you get them in the attic, you cannot get them out. So there are just so many things that we advise people on. We're like, hey, you got to cut back those trees.
Yeah.
They're like, why? Why? Those trees have been there our whole life. I said, because rats run up trees, and that's how they come in your house. And they're like, oh, I never even thought about that, you know? So there's a lot of things with pest control. You're going to have roaches no matter what, and you can try and send them off as best you can and create a line of defense for them. But it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Pest control in Hawaii runs anywhere from $40 a month to $100 a month. If you got a big yard and you want to treat it, you want to flea treat it, you got animals running around, and they go out in their yard and they spray for fleas. So there's a lot of things that your property manager can take care of, and you can prevent. You can prevent some of it, but you cannot prevent all of it.
They're like Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. They stand outside your house, this is what they say to all the bugs and the rats. You shall not pass! But my house, Kilauea Pest Control, they do a perimeter spray.
Yep.
Now, again, folks, I'm not one of these people with pile of kajunks all over the outside of my house.
Correct.
Where they cannot spray. And you know what's nice, Duke? They moved the welcome mat. Because, a lot of times you put your bare foot. So they move them. They scoot them back. They don't hose down my welcome mat. But I don't have bugs inside the house because they spray the perimeter. But if I do, they'll come in and hit a...
They do both.
They'll hit a spot.
And the outside.
And, Duke, I think what you especially if you get tenants from the mainland and they see the centipede.
Or the geckos.
They freak out.
The geckos, too.
Geckos, too. But the centipede, I remember we're at our office. Me and Adrian and Laura were at our office. And I'm like, I'm looking at both of them. And I'm like, you guys aren't going to like this. This big old centipede was crawling across our office. Now, you got to remember, when you go to step on them, you cannot go perpendicular to the centipede because it's going to flip up and sting you.
Oh.
You got to go.
That's a good tip.
You got to go parallel.
There's a technique you have to master.
But what was happening is the landscapers were redoing all the landscaping on the side of the building, and that was disturbing the centipedes, and those all coming in. But
oh boy,
yeah. But I think that the other thing people got to understand, in the mainland we have those winters that kind of kill off a lot of the pests.
Yep.
Hawaii, it's like vacation time all year long.
Yep. Oceanfront property. There you go, wherever you go.
And Duke, I think that is a very fair timeline to follow, as far as the pest control and who's
responsible for paying. Correct.
Yeah. And,
correct.
As long as, those expectations are, communicated up front, everyone should be okay. So
yeah, the owner tried to tell me, oh, no, they brought the termites. I'm like, Mr. Owner, tenants don't bring termites. He goes, I never had termites before. I said, they probably were there the whole time. Yeah, we just found them now.
I brought 10-bag hinode rice and some termites. No.
Oh, Duke, I've got a question that we did not talk about, but bed bugs. Have you ever had to deal with a bed bug situation, and how do you navigate that with the tenants?
So when we have bed bugs, we don't have them because we don't have furnished units. We only have a couple. Mm-hmm. But in our ownership agreement, it does state that if we find bed bugs, that we will have to throw all the furniture away.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what happens. When we tell the tenants they have to move out, we have to spray for bed bugs, we have to get rid of all the furniture. Yeah. And to keep anything behind, that we will not be responsible for it because they brought them in.
My son went doing sleepover when he was in college. I mean, not college, high school. And then he came home, and we're like, whoa, like local style, right? We all walk around, the boys work around with no shirt on, and it was like all these red dots was on his back.
Yeah.
It was bed bugs. We looked at the mattress. We never had bed bugs before, but we just fumigated the whole house.
Yeah. That's what you got to do. You got to tent it. If you want to save your furniture, you got to spend about $3,000. You get a termite tent, kills everything.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
I told him next time I'm going to leave you inside the house. You bring more bed bugs to my house. You stay inside with the fumigation. No. We took them out of the fumigation.
If you have any questions about pest control, you can call me at 445-9223, area code 808.
Duke, I like about your advice is the advice that you're giving is keeping the rent coming in, keeping it at market rate, and avoiding all of the problems that you see with tenants when we don't do pest control.
That's the responsibility of a good property manager.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's what we do full time.
Okay. Thank
you.
Thank you, Coach Duke.
Coach Duke.
Coach Duke.
So you can find out more about Coach Duke and his team by going to our website, and it's under the resource tab and experts we trust. They also have hundreds of reviews of happy owners and happy tenants.
Every Saturday at the IBBA office from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., he has investor owner boot camp. And he has one trucker hat, and he got the whistle, and he looks just like Larry King coaching the Bulls. And then you come to his office.
Does he wear short shorts?
Yeah, he wears the short shorts with no belt, the Sansa slacks, the shorts with the tube socks. And he's like, drop and give me 20 if you didn't do pest control for your house. All right, drop and give me 20 if you never include landscaping with your property. So, don't be going to the IA office on Saturday between 9 and 10. There's no investor owner boot camp with Coach Duke.
All right, I want to read a review from Lombardo Custom Apparel. This one's for Ashley. Ashley is amazing. Her communication on current properties is second to none, as is her knowledge of the area. I highly recommend her. Good job, Ashley. Okay.
Next
and then
up,
what are we up to next?
We got Coach Corry. He's going to be talking about mortgages. What's going on with the mortgages, Coach Corry?
What's going on, guys?
Hey, what you got for us this week?
Well, I think the biggest news today was, we had a little bit of a market shakeup yesterday with some Fed news. But a couple of the Fed members today came out and said, hey, we're still on target, and, it's going to be not a perfectly straight line, a little bit of a bumpy road, but they tried to calm the markets back down today, and you saw a nice little rebound in that, kind of bringing some confidence back that, hey, we're going to still be cutting rates. We're still on track here for, anytime between March and June is what it's looking like for that first rate cut. So to all the buyers out there, get in while you still can before the frenzy happens, because I think as soon as we start seeing those rate cuts, the deals you can get, the credits you can get, those are going to dry up really quick. And so if you can capture those now, I think you go get it.
Well, especially, right now we're in between that PCS season. So as these orders start coming up and people start moving around, we're going to see a lot more, I think, buyers in the marketplace. Yeah. So, we have that as well.
The summer rush in Hawaii is a double whammy, because it's not only people buy and sell and move when school's out, but you have the massive PCS season here, and you get a huge influx, and you're going to be competing with a lot more buyers. So if you have a chance to get something in, kind of what we almost think of as the off season a little bit, I think that's when you can go get the best deals. And I'm sure, you guys are seeing that on your end as well.
Do it now in the off season, because during the on season, you're not going to be able to do those negotiations or get these buy downs, these seller credits. Those are going to go away.
Yeah. Do you want to go to Red Lobster when it's all you can eat lobster, or do you want to go when they don't have that special? I'd rather go when they don't have that special, because it's not so busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what does Red Lobster have to do with buying a house?
I don't know. It just popped in my head.
You don't even eat a Red Lobster.
I know. I don't.
I think it even if you're not getting, let's even take away the fact that maybe you can't get a price reduction or a credit. it's nice to be able to have a little bit more time to kind of sit there and decide, and not just be under the gun like, this house hit the market yesterday, we need to make an offer before we even see it or it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
So having some breathing room.
The breathing room, I think, is a huge benefit to being able to look at a few houses, decide which one you like, really just get to take your time in that process.
Yeah.
Because during that summer, you can't wait or it's gone. And so I think right now it's even taking away all other, the credits that are out there and price reductions you can maybe negotiate. Just the time factor to be able to sit back, breathe a little bit, weigh your options is a really nice benefit as a buyer.
Yeah.
So do it now, people. Like, don't do it this summer. Do it now.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it this summer, but you're going to have a different experience. Like what Corry said, you're going to be feeling a little bit more rushed. You might not be able to negotiate as much.
I was saying, you got, instead of being like the Energizer Bunny where you just got to keep going, go. Look at homes, right offers. You can slow it down, be more like Dos Equis Man.
It'll be less stressful.
With a smoking jacket and a beard and just kind of relaxed and looking cool and self-assured.
Yeah, I think it's a lot less stressful, and it's a more pleasant experience for buying your home in this kind of situation. Than, you just feel better in the process versus the whirlwind that can happen in the summer. You're putting in 8 offers. Your 8th one finally gets accepted. You're running low on your time in the hotel, and you're just kind of scrambling and feeling super rushed through the process. It's kind of nice if you can do it now, to have that breathing room and just the time that, all right, let's really do a good home inspection. Let's negotiate on our J1 for both things we found, and really make sure we're happy with this house versus like, hey, we got to take what we can get, because it's, there's a lot of buyers out here and we're competing.
Okay. Well, hey, Corry, thanks for that tip. An update.
And that excellent reminder to our buyers out there in the markets.
All right. Thanks, Corry.
Thank you, Corry.
All right, guys.
That was Corry with the Loan Depot. You can find out more about Corry and all of his team by going to the resource tab and experts we trust.
So, hey, let's circle back to that and unpack that a little bit. The market right now for you as a buyer. So, again, here's the visual that we want to...
I want to give a real-life example from one of our clients.
I think you should give a real-life example, Adrian.
Yes. So
go ahead.
We remember our client that we ended up... she was a single mom, ER nurse. She felt like she was in that frenzy and having to, put in offer after offer. I think she ended up purchasing sight unseen.
Yeah.
In a home that she was like, it was okay. No, it was not sight unseen. She was there for the home inspection, but she felt rushed, and she felt like there was nothing else that she could pick from. And
because of how the market was at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Energizer Bunny.
Yeah. And it was a very stressful situation for her. Single mom with the 3 kids. About a year and a half later, she just said,
I gotta get out of here.
She really didn't like the house. It really wasn't the right fit for her family, and just like the size and layout, everything. And she ended up selling it at a loss.
So here's the market we're in, and she didn't have to come out of pocket because she had put a lot of money down.
Yes.
But for the net was less than what she had gone into the house on. Because of the short period of the resale time, but for emotionally, she wanted to get out of that home, and we helped her as best as we could. But again, the learning, the lesson from that, the moral of the story is that you want to be looking for a home and buying now to allow you to have that discernment, that patience to really take a look at the neighborhood, the home,
and how you're going to be living in the home. Yeah, just being able to take your time.
Yeah, and not be like, okay, I think we're going to go for this one. Oops, it's in escrow. So that would be our advice for today. If you're like, hey, if somebody came up to us and said, hey, is now a good time to be buying a home?
Absolutely.
Now is the good time.
Don't procrastinate.
Hey, speaking of not procrastinating, if you, again, are a owner of investment properties and you're getting creamed on your taxes, we have a solution.
We do.
Yeah.
I'm really excited by this because we're actually going to be using this solution ourselves on a commercial building that we just recently purchased to put our new office in.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we're excited to move into it.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, it's gonna. If you guys know where F45 is
in Kapolei,
James Campbell area, and if you don't, you should go over there. By the way, shout out to F45 in Kapolei. Well, everywhere they give you 1 week for free to check it out.
So, anyways, back to the whole investor segue.
Yeah. Cost segregation is the word I want you all to look up. Don't call anybody for who you Google. You're going to call us because we're going to take care of you, educate you.
We are going to have a guest on our radio show.
Yeah, talking about this.
Yeah, he's also going to be talking to our team. And typically this kind of service can be kind of pricey.
Yeah.
But we have some excellent solutions and some strategies. I know that if you're considered a real estate professional, you have different strategies available. But even if you're not a real estate professional, there are strategies that you can do to reduce those taxes.
Yeah, this would fall into that category of I don't know what I don't know.
Yes.
And so get educated on that. If you're having some serious tax burdens on your investment properties, or just you have high income and have a lot of taxes, and you're trying to figure out how can I utilize my real estate investments to reduce my tax burden, and
you're going to want to listen to this radio show that we're having coming up.
And the savings being so big that you can go buy more real estate.
That's right.
And create more passive income.
Get your tax refund and use that for the down payment.
Yes. So anyway, these are loopholes. I don't say loopholes, but just strategies.
This is the tax law and understanding how to use it to your benefit. That's all.
Exactly.
There's no loophole here.
Yeah.
It's just knowing, you don't know what you don't know.
Well, the thing you're getting around is paying more taxes than you should. And we don't mind paying taxes. We just want to make sure that we're paying
the right amount.
The right amount. All right.
That's right. All right. So we are going to take a break, but stay with us. When we come back, we'll be talking with Jim Mayfield of Island Business and Commercial Brokerage. We'll explore the nuances of business loans and their distinctions from real estate financing.
So please stay with us.
Hey, Sean Hannity here, talking with the only real estate agent in your market I recommend. Adrian Lally and Attilio Leonardi of Team Lally Real Estate Group of Keller Williams, Honolulu. Now more than ever, buyers and sellers need an expert to navigate this ever-changing market. And what do you do to stand out?
Hey, Sean, we are a team with over 500 plus 4.9 star reviews, over 1,600 transactions under belt, and 20 years in the business. It's going to take a lot of resources to get a home sold today.
What kind of programs do you offer?
Sean, we offer the guaranteed sale, instant offer close in 12 days, $10K for upgrades, love it or leave it, no hassle listing. No matter what situation the client is in, we've got solutions.
Great update. Thank you for keeping us informed. Put the most experience and the best marketing to work for you. Call Team Lally now at 799-9596 or online at teamlally.com. That's teamlally.com.
Taking one cash offer for your home doesn't have to be your only option. I'm Barbara Corcoran, and especially in today's current market, having a local real estate agent who offers great marketing and options that are customized to fit your needs is smart. In Honolulu, the agents I trust are Adrian Lally and Attilio Leonardi. They can give you a guarantee to sell your home, flexible fees, or up to $10,000 in cash to help with repairs.
Get the option that's right for you. Go to teamlally.com.
Welcome back, and thanks for listening to the Team Lally Real Estate Show, home of the Guaranteed Sold program, or we'll buy it. I'm Adrian.
And I'm Attilio.
And if you have any questions, just give us a call at 799-9596 or check us out online at teamlally.com.
Our guest today is the president of Island Business and Commercial Brokerage, a distinguished business broker with an IBBA certification, unique in Kauai and rare statewide, achieved through an extensive coursework and examinations.
He was key in establishing the Kauai Island Utility Cooperative, securing over $250 million for it, holding an MBA from the University of Hawaii, a BA from Dartmouth, and being a Punahou alum. He blends expertise with a strong commitment to community and sustainability. Please welcome back today's guest, Jim Mayfield.
Hey, Jim.
Aloha. Good to be back again.
Yeah. You know, and you're perfect, kind, local kind person, because people are like, oh, MBA from UH. BA from Dartmouth. Oh, he went to Punahou. Is everybody like, oh, what high school you went to?
Yeah.
So, but
that is how business is done in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
like, where you are you from here, and what high school you went to? Those are the first two questions everybody asks.
Oh, of course. It's not. When they say what school you go to, it's not what college.
Exactly.
It's what high school. Of course.
So Jim, we've had you on before, and I mean, I know that we went over your intro, but there was one thing that we did not touch on this intro,
which is
his extensive knowledge of finance and how money and the business loans work.
Yeah.
And how did he get all this knowledge?
Yes.
Well, my career started. I started with First Hawaiian Bank so many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, I went back and got my MBA from UH. And as I was finishing UH, a very close high school friend also, who was at Banco, the Aldens came at me twice, to I had to apply at Banco. So I applied at Banco, and I spent 18 years at Bank of Hawaii serving, and gradually increasing. It's all commercial work.
Yeah.
And so I have many years of doing commercial lending for Bank of Hawaii. And so, so I know it from the bank standpoint, and I know it from the client standpoint. And so what I do for clients, and I might be the only one in Hawaii who can do this or who has the knowledge to do it, is, I handle the business, obviously, but I also, if my seller gives me written permission, I become a dual agent. And I help the buyer with the financing. I literally just, waiting for your phone call. I got a $18 million deal right now, and I just sent, a couple emails to some business appraisers on the mainland. I do valuations. I don't do $18 million business appraisals, but I know who they are because I'm a member of the two national organizations, and I go to this year it's in Louisville. I'm going to the national conference, and you keep all those business cards from all those people there because you never know when you're going to need their help, and certainly, I need their help for this deal. So anyway, that's my background on the business financing.
I think people need to realize too, in residential real estate, again, it's more normal that you're going to have the standard operating procedures. You got a representation on both sides, but with businesses, there's not a lot of people. There's a ton of commercial realtors, but not too many that understand
like the financials.
Yeah, you're selling the building, but internally you have a business, and then you have the financing to put all that together. Mm-hmm. So it is kind of more commonplace for someone like you to put all the pieces together to make it happen.
Even though I am a real estate broker, and I do handle commercial real estate here on Kauai. I've been doing that for many years. There's a lot of residential realtors who really don't have the background, and that's part of our commitment as realtors is not to do it if we don't have the background. But there's a number of residential realtors, looking for the commission, and so it's difficult when they're representing, let's say, the buyer on a business deal.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of agents that have this expertise in business brokerage. Yeah. Can you explain a little bit what does that mean to be a business broker?
Yeah. What are the top three things that you need to be aware of that you have actual experiential knowledge of regarding this?
So, I'll just give you my history. When I started, I had chosen to retire from Bank of Hawaii. I didn't quit. I wasn't fired. I didn't get bought out. I just decided, I had stopped learning as a banker, and I was only 48 years old, and that's too young to stop learning. So, and then I just by coincidence, I saw somebody valuing a business once, and once I saw that, I go, that's what I should do in my next life. And so, I'd go back to the mainland conventions, take all the courses there to get certified. And really, anybody who wants to become a business broker really should go to the national conventions and get that experience. And so that's where I got my initial training. But, of course, I already as the commercial banker for Bank of Hawaii, I already knew how to underwrite the real estate deals, and I knew how to underwrite the business deals because I had already been doing that at the bank.
Yeah.
The difference here was, I was representing the seller, as a business broker rather than being the banker.
Gotcha.
Now, Jim, I think last time you were on the show, we talked about you do reside on Kauai, but you do help businesses
on all islands,
statewide.
Yeah.
How does that work?
I am absolutely statewide. For the first 6-7 years, I was raising 2 daughters, and so I was giving all my referrals to another provider in the state of Hawaii, but that person sold his business, and so suddenly I didn't have anybody to refer to. And coincidentally, the largest company in the United States for business brokerage reached out to me to ask me to handle their stuff throughout Hawaii. And so, the strange thing is those young girls of mine had grown up and left. And so I no longer needed to be just on Kauai. And so about, 10, 12 years ago, no more than that. Time goes quickly. My oldest is 34 now. So that's when I started, expanding to, all of the islands, principally Oahu, some on Kauai. I got 2 listings and a 3rd listing coming on Maui, and I have 1 listing on the Big Island. So I certainly do all of the principal islands, but, mostly I'll say on Kauai because this is my home, and of course on Oahu.
Well, and tell me, I don't know if this is true, I just knew it anecdotally that a lot of the small businesses are mostly bought from people that want to move here and have a business when they land.
And they're very entrepreneurial.
What's been your experience with that?
That's exactly the mainland people are entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Many of the locals are not especially entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
But people on the mainland, I get a number of inquiries on pretty much every single day, certainly every week, and almost, no matter how many inquiries I get from all the people on the mainland, if there is no real reason why they want to buy a business in Hawaii, they end up not buying the business. Even though I get a zillion inquiries from them, and we follow up with them, of course, but they aren't real. What it is, people who got married here 30 years ago, they honeymooned here 30 years ago. Their children live in Hawaii. They've been coming here. They have timeshares. They've been coming to Hawaii for 15 years in a row. They love Hawaii. It's all of those. Those are people who already have a connection, a relationship in Hawaii. They are the real buyers. And yes, I'll say 80 or 90% of all my business buyers are from the mainland.
Yeah, because it's, I think marketing of your businesses here in Hawaii is like that movie, The Descendants. Remember that movie? It was like, here is the Hawaii.
I remember quite well. I cried because I knew some of those families that were in The Descendants, and I knew them personally.
Well, and, I like the line that, what's that guy's name, the actor? I forgot his name.
George Clooney?
Yeah, George Clooney. He goes, there's the Hawaii that people see on the commercials, and then there's the real Hawaii, with the homeless. And, vacationing here is one thing. Running a UPS store 80 hours a week is a whole different kind of perspective of Hawaii. And, no more going to the beach. You got to run this business.
Only sometimes do prospective buyers actually come to my office here on Kauai. But if they do, I sit them down on my sofa for about 2 hours. And,
business
I
therapy.
want them to be successful. No, I tell them, I'll say all the bad things. I don't want them to be surprised.
Yeah.
So I tell them all of those things. But, of course, I also repeat to them what they already know, the wonderful things. The fact that we still live here after 40, 50 years, more than that. I'm getting old.
Yeah.
Obviously means that I think that, this is obviously a wonderful place to live.
Yeah, I would say, what the question you should ask them? Where are you going to put your ashes? And if they say, whatever, this beach or that beach, then they're serious about being here because
that's interesting.
Everybody has this pipe dream of working for Team Lally in Hawaii. So we get a lot of calls from agents in the mainland. And I'm like, okay, that's your fancy dream. We take the interview to a certain point and then we stop. and we say we will only continue the interview with you when you're on island. Because we've learned, they're like, oh, never mind.
I mean, you can't afford to spend that much time with people who don't have a relationship. Because if they're just looking to buy a business at the right price, at the right, size, there's going to be far more businesses somewhere on the mainland for them.
Yes.
Period. And, no matter how well a business is priced here in Hawaii, there's going to be bigger, cheaper businesses somewhere on the mainland.
So
I would only be interested in a Chick-fil-A.
So Jim, let's move on to the actual business owners, and maybe they're trying to plan their exits.
They're thinking about selling.
Or just maybe they're like, okay, 5 years down the road, I want to exit this business. Do you do any kind of consulting or helping them to just make sure their business is set up properly for the sale?
Pretend they're listening to the show right now. What would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
Make the phone call. I say that because I get almost no inquiries years in advance.
In advance.
And ideally, what we're trained to tell people is they should approach us 3 years before it's time to sell. But
that's good.
I receive almost no
no heads up
that far.
Yeah.
Right now, there's one of the deals over on Maui should be coming in probably next month or two. But the only reason why it's delayed, because they repeated again today that they do want to list, is they were waiting to get their 2023 tax return completed. So make the phone call, whenever, as soon as possible. But I won't be surprised if, I'll give you a story, and it's unfortunate or fortunate. About 3 months ago, I got a phone call from a gentleman. He said, Mr. Mayfield, I'm driving back from my doctor's office to my business now. I need you to sell my business as fast as possible. My doctor just told me that I'm going to die within the next 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And with that, not that we aren't motivated as brokers, of course.
Yes.
But when you hear that kind of a story from somebody, it was all hands on deck. We did everything we could, and we found a very appropriate buyer very quickly. The buyer worked well with the seller because, he knew the situation in terms of the help.
Yeah.
And we actually, about a week after closing, the seller called us up and just told us how thankful he was that we were able to help him and to give his wife the comfort that she needed.
Yeah.
And then a week after that, he passed.
Wow.
So it was nice that we were able to do what we needed to do to help both him and his wife.
Talk about turnkey businesses versus
like owner operator. It's like you're buying a job.
Well, the owner operators, they're trying to sell the business and they're a key part of the business working in it. Mm-hmm. And then there's the ones who have a business where they got all the key positions are covered by employees, and they're just kind of coming in once in a while to check the books. Speak to that on values and the expectations that people should have when they're selling something that's turnkey versus you got to come in here and be the manager or something.
Well, I'll say 80% of all sales are with the expectation that the buyer is going to become the owner-operator.
Gotcha.
That's just how it is in Hawaii.
Yeah.
For deals, certainly up to, let's say, $750,000. I just got an inquiry from somebody yesterday, and they're looking to do a deal in the $500,000 to $600,000 range. And they're looking to, for a business that already has a manager in place. And I told them that might be rather difficult because that's a relatively modest business still that has an existing full-time employee manager for the business. Now, once you get to the $1 million, $1.5 million deals, then, I won't say frequently, but on many occasions, there is a manager in place. And there we can do those deals.
Yeah.
But most deals are with the buyer becoming the operator.
Yeah. Adrian and I own multiple businesses, and one of the things we look at is the owner-operator actually taking a salary? Because if they're not, what's your opinion on how their books look? Because
the numbers are off.
If they're taking some $40,000 a year and their position needs to be filled by somebody who should be paying $80,000, how does that play into the negotiations of the sale of that business?
Sure. Well, and then that's why you go to the mainland for the training well in advance before you become the operator. Because for we call them Main Street deals. Those are the deals that are up to $1 million, $1.5 million at the most, where the buyer typically becomes the manager. And in those situations, you do not build in a salary for the owner or the manager. You assume that the profit's going to go to the bottom line, and then the buyer, they're going to do whatever they choose to do. When you get to the mergers and acquisition size, which is $1.5 million, $2 million and up, that's where you typically have a manager. And we ask up front, what is the manager being paid right now? Or if there is no manager, we ask the seller what would be an appropriate salary for a manager to run the business. And so we build, so the larger deals, we build in a manager salary, an appropriate manager salary. But for the smaller deals, you do not do that.
Gotcha.
So Jim, with it looks like we pulled up your website and we see that you've got about 20 businesses for sale. What's your most interesting or unique business opportunity that you have available?
Unique. Oh, that one is.
You have any professional olive stuffing factories?
Or you can name a couple. It's just, I'm always curious.
Well, I'll tell you a couple, some that I do not do. Typically, I do not do the professionals. I don't do the CPAs. I don't do the doctors. I don't do the dentist. I can get the training in that because I belong to the national organizations which have training for that. But I haven't done it in the past. Yeah. And but there are specialized business brokers on the mainland, and that's all they do. They specialize in one or two professions, and those are the ones I would refer those kinds of people. Yeah. I handle, all those other businesses, that come around. Right now, there's a bunch of restaurants in the market. There's always restaurants in the market, but the situation with employees is just so difficult on all of the neighbor islands that, the owners are just tired. Yeah. And so there's a lot of restaurants. That's not unique in any way, but I needed the story about, the employee situation. I needed people to know about that in advance.
I think that's a common theme because when we look at businesses, that's what the owners say. I'm tired.
Yeah. No.
Why are you selling?
Absolutely.
I'm tired.
Golly. I have a large one. It's been in the business. Well, no, but that's just it's a standard business. It's just larger. It's hard for me to do that. And part of the problem is sometimes I'm allowed to give out information about the business, but frequently the owners don't want me to. So I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No,
what about one that you sold in the past that was unique?
What about a relatively small one? It's on the market now. It's a food product, which is not. I've never seen it for sale in Hawaii. It's a Japanese product, but Japanese food items sell well in Hawaii.
Yes.
So we have a unique Japanese product that's on the market right now. Yeah. But when I say Japanese, it's a Japanese kind of product that any Haole, any Chinese, any Filipino, they would all enjoy doing it also.
Yeah. That reminds me, do you know why the sharks like to eat the Japanese tourists? Because get ume in the middle. Get ume in the middle of the Japanese tourist. No, that's like a pickle plum. That's an old Frank De Lima joke. I give credit to Frank De Lima. But what kind of advice do you give because a lot of time you're saying you're on both sides, but so you sit down with the seller or the business owner, and then you also sit down with the buyers and say, okay,
this is how we got to structure
let's just make sure we're in land of reality of what we're looking like as far as owning a business in Hawaii.
Well, one of the things with the seller up front is we frequently get, I'll say 95% of all sellers obviously don't know how to value their business. That's why they're approaching us. But their internal valuation for their business is typically way out of line with what the market is. And so even right up front in the first 30 minutes of my initial discussion, I tell the sellers it's highly likely that the valuation you have in mind for your business is way above the market.
Yeah.
I tell them that up front. Another thing I tell the seller up front is there's oftentimes a request for some seller financing by the buyer.
Yeah.
And I tell the seller up front, do not tell me if you're willing to provide that. Do not tell me what your bottom line selling price is. I don't want to know, because I need to be able to tell the possible buyers that I don't know if there's seller financing. I don't know, other than the listing price, what, possible selling is.
Gotcha.
And that way I can honestly tell the buyers that I don't know that. But here's what I do in terms of the seller financing, and I tell this to the sellers up front, is as long as there's not a huge number of add backs, which is what we do. The one I use is if you were to look at my my cell phone bill, you'd see 3 lines. If you call one line, you get my daughter. Call the second line, you get my wife. Oh, by the way, if you called the third telephone, you would get me.
Yeah.
And yes, I charge it all off to my business.
Yeah.
And that's rather typical in this whole in the business. And so if there's not a substantial number of add backs, typically if the buyer is putting down 20% financing, we can normally get pretty close to the 80% financing. We might be a little short, but we're going to be pretty close to that. But what happens sometimes is when there's a ton of add backs, I sold a deal 4 months ago. The earnings, let's just call it the earnings, the adjusted earnings were about $460,000, but tax returns reflected about $175,000. So huge amount of
a lot of write-offs.
And I had to tell, the seller right up front, it's going to take a unique buyer. It's going to take someone who has a significant amount of cash to do this deal, because the banks aren't going to provide more than about
the value.
Well, they're not going to, period.
Well, it might have to be like Leona Helmsley. She was writing off the pool at her house with a hotel chain she owned, but she went to the Federal Holiday Inn with the 3 square meals a day for that process. But
one of the things, let me take a moment. You guys are directing, but I need to talk about this. I started with First Hawaiian. I ended up with Bank of Hawaii. I've lived in Hawaii now 57 years or whatever it is, long time. I have huge kokua for those 2 banks. They are excellent banks. One of my former associates at Bank of Hawaii is a loan officer at CPB, and a former, a family member, kind of extended family member, just retired from ASB just literally a month and a half ago. So I have lots of kokua and experience working with the Hawaii banks. However, for business financing, the Hawaii banks don't want to utilize the full assistance provided by the SBA.
Yeah.
They like to keep the loan amortization down to 5 years when the SBA can go out to 10 years. I have a deal right now I'm working on, and I'm to the mainland. They got denied by one of the local banks here, and buyer would have had to put another 25% cash into the deal to get qualified by the local Hawaii bank, because they were using the 5-year amortization as opposed to using the full SBA authorization up to 10 years.
Yeah.
And the mainland SBA lenders, most of them, the good ones, that they'll do all of that. But I also want your clients to understand there's some shady guys out there on the mainland also. So
you got to be careful.
It's best to use, I'll say myself, or people who are very familiar with
the lenders.
Business, the SBA lenders, the mainland SBA lenders, because they're very, very good, and they aren't shysters. And, we've had two.
The local banks are very conservative, and
yes.
the main reason behind that is the local economist, Frank De Lima, says that at least 15% of the people that work there is named Glenn Miyashiro, and they all get their aloha shirts from Kahala. That's why they're so conservative.
But I think the moral of the story is, you want to work with a professional like Jim, who knows,
put all the parts together,
who knows where to, connect you to make sure that you're not having to put an extra 25% down. And he knows the difference between the ones that are awesome and then the ones that maybe, kind of fly by night. You don't want to get involved with them.
So our one takeaway from today's show, call Coach Jim and call him early. Don't call him like the day before.
3 years early if you're thinking about selling. And then even if you're thinking about buying, just take the time up front and get educated and make sure it's a good fit.
Yeah.
Get educated. Absolutely. Like most other professionals, my first meeting is free. I got 14 trophies from the SBA in the state of Hawaii in my office here because I've been providing that kind. I'm a traditional banker, and you provide that kind of assistance to your prospective business buyers, and I'm glad to do that. Now, I want to give recognition to my associate, Elizabeth, who's been with me for more than 5 years now, and typically she handles all of the initial inquiries coming in, and she and I can hear every word of every conversation that either one of us have. So by chance, if any of your clients, call and Elizabeth picks up the phone, which is quite normal, they should feel very comfortable talking with her because she's been doing it for many years.
So you guys are interchangeable and you work as a team, which is important.
Well, when it's when it's a $3 million deal or teen as this current one is, that's a little different. But certainly anything up to $500,000, $750,000. I'm comfortable with her handling it. I have to sign off on anything that goes out the door.
Yeah.
But I almost always trust what she's done.
Okay, and in Hawaii, always best way to sit down with Jim and give him the award he likes the best, 1 dozen manapua from Chun Wan Kam on Oahu. And so you go visit him, bring the manapua.
I was going to say, the one down there in Nimitz,
There you go.
All right, well, we've got to wrap things up. But
thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for listening, and thank you to our sponsors.
Jody and Derek of Pacific Mortgage.
Bradley with Allstate Insurance.
Kenji with Pillar to Post Home Inspections.
John with Kilauea Pest Control.
Duke with Hawaii Pacific Property Management.
Robinson of Fine Line Paintwork.
Jake with Go Local Power.
Scott with Zero Res Hawaii.
Amphi with Estate Planning Group.
Jason Wu, Attorney at Law.
Jeff with the Loan Depot.
Rhino of Hawaii Unified.
Janice with Dreamhouse Drafting. If you want to get a hold of any of our sponsors, just go to teamlally.com.
We also want to give a big thank you to Leah Rodriguez, our producer here in the studio.
Yee-hoo.
Make sure to tune in next week. We'll have an awesome guest talking about something that'll change your life.
Forever. This is the Team Lally Real Estate Show, home of the guaranteed
sold program. If we can't sell your home at the agreed upon price in our time frame, we'll have it bought for cash.
Thanks and aloha.
The preceding program was sponsored by Team Lally.